Can you hear us properly there?
Absolutely.
All right. This is Boris Purple Disco Machine with Boris Lugos, and the track is called "Love for Days." We're back on air with the ride along, and we've got Yusuf Nasari here. Yusuf is the founder of the Built with Bitcoin Foundation, which is a registered 501c not-for-profit organization creating opportunities by providing clean water, access to quality education, sustainable farming, and humanitarian support powered by Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. Yusuf, welcome to the show.
Hello to everyone in South Africa. Thank you for having me.
All right, just quickly tell us about yourself before we get into the Built with Bitcoin Foundation. Could you just give us a bit of background about who Yusuf is as a person?
Right, so I was born and raised in Los Angeles, California, to two refugees from Afghanistan. And growing up, we lived a very modest lifestyle. And education, early education specifically, was something that we didn't have access to in my neighborhood. So that really showed me the lack of fundamental skills that I had growing up. And if I didn't have my older sibling, that's 5 years older than me, to teach me how to read, I wouldn't have been able to excel in my academic career, so to speak.
All right.
And so, building on the fundamental aspects of education, that's why it's so important for me within our foundation to kind of target that early education.
So the foundation. Firstly, can you tell us just a bit about the foundation built with Bitcoin?
Sure. About 6 years ago, I was running my own traditional fiat NGO called Zamzam Water, and we were building water wells around the world. And we had this donor that wanted to make a very significant contribution to building a school in Afghanistan. And that transaction fell through. It was flagged as fraudulent activity. And you can imagine the discomfort or uncomfortable conversation that I had to have with this donor about, is there another form of payment that you can make the significant contribution on?
Yes, yes.
And that person responded to me via email stating, do you accept Bitcoin? And I had absolutely no idea what Bitcoin was. And so, as anyone else would do, I went straight to Google. I typed in, what is Bitcoin? And all of these different types of information and research came up. But it was this peer to peer kind of conversation that I was having with this person on the other end of this email that allowed me to learn and understand Bitcoin for its true use case. And his dream was to build schools around the world completely using Bitcoin. And the person on the other end of that email was Ray Youssef, who happens to be the co-founder of our foundation. So we built the foundation together. And since that time, we've been able to build 10 schools, operate in 4 different continents, and affect the lives of over 115,000 people, including South Africans.
All right, Yusuf, thank you with that. Getting into the South Africa conversation, I want to ask specifically, where is and why did you specifically choose Port Elizabeth or Gqeberha? Can you say that the South African term for Port Elizabeth, which is
Gerecha,
Gqeberha? Yes.
yeah,
Okay. No,
Gerecha.
you've come along. You're coming along nicely.
I will tell you this much. I first set ground in South Africa, specifically in PE, about 3 months ago, and I was welcomed with a very warm and gracious environment. I was able to see both sides of the community, as you can imagine, in both in Port Elizabeth and as well as Motherwell, the township that we operate in.
Yes.
And I was seeing so much potential within so many people there. And there's a lack of opportunity. And a lot of that lack of opportunity comes from a lack of education and lack of understanding and disconnect between the two groups. And so for me, it was very important to build relationships with the folks on the ground. And that's the basis and the core value of our foundation is to build trust. How can you build trust without being on the ground, right? And
Yes. Yes.
understanding the people, understanding their needs, understanding their problems to try to find a solution with them. And so Port
Okay.
Elizabeth created a very distinct opportunity for us. I have multiple partners on the ground there, an NGO that works within South Africa that's already made these connections with folks, that has built the trust, and we're working in tandem with them. And that was very important for us.
So, as to date, how many children have you helped out or positively impacted with the Built with Bitcoin Foundation?
So that metric of success for us is all about being able to go back into these communities and be able to see within the children's eyes and their families the embrace that they're able to make with us. The number of students is not necessarily our quantifiable success. It is the
Okay.
quality of the education that is available to them. And
Okay.
so from these school systems in PE, our goal is to have over 700 students within the next couple of years be able to grasp the benefit of these programs. But again, whether it's 7 children or 7,000, we want the quality of the education and the access to it to be at the highest level because it's about quality over quantity for us.
Yeah. So just to jump in, Yusuf. So what
Yes,
else are you guys doing? In these schools just to ensure that they remain sustainable.
yes. Sustainability is extremely important to running any business, nonprofit organization, your radio station. Everything is about sustainability, right? So for us, it's utilizing the necessary resources, not the resources that we may want. For example, using too much electricity at our facilities is not something that we want to rely on because electricity requires, solar power. It requires maintenance. It requires funding, and so technology, things that are easily able to be stolen or damaged, unfortunately, these are things that we have to think about long term. But
Yeah.
most importantly, the relationship with the community is near and dear to our hearts because having the clear cut relationship of a mutual respect amongst one another, that builds relationship and it builds trust, and that is extremely sustainable, right? Because we want the parents and the community members to understand that this school, these centers, educational centers, are just as much as theirs as they are ours. It's a mutual benefit for everybody. Their children get served on a daily basis, and if these school structures become damaged, that harms the educational journey of their own children.
Okay. So just maybe for someone who wants to know how many schools to date have you guys built or maybe help to repay?
Right, right. So our vision when we first started our foundation was to build 100 schools in 100 countries around the world, regardless of what continent, regardless of the region of the world. Why? Because we believe that Bitcoin is inclusive. It allows this freedom of inclusivity for access to everybody. And education should be accessible to everyone, regardless of your race, regardless of your faith, regardless of your ethnicity. That's what we truly believe. So to date, since 2017, we have built 10 schools in 5 different countries, and we
That's
operate
amazing.
on 4 different continents: Africa, Asia, South America, North America. And for us, it's not just about schools. These schools become community centers. We've had
Yes.
weddings at our school campuses before. We have had people
That's
get together and
amazing.
talk about their differences and difficulties as well as their
Yes.
successes. You have to create a level of dialogue amongst people because that's the
Yes.
only way that we will be able to truly be in peace and harmony is if we can understand each other truly. And so
Yeah,
we've
that is
provided
true.
health insurance for community members, electricity through solar systems, even vegetation through farming systems. We
Yes.
try to find a means where it's not just about building infrastructure, but about building community. We have a mantra and philosophy in our foundation is that we don't just build schools, we build communities.
Yes, which is amazing work. And just to touch back with the Eastern Cape and Port Elizabeth, is there a vision to move right through the Eastern Cape and through the the country of South Africa as a whole? And is it part of your vision as built with Bitcoin to sort of this whole inclusive mantra that you have? Is there a vision to now tackle the rest of the South Africa or rural South Africa or township South Africa? Is it part of your plan, or are you just solely focused on Port Elizabeth at the moment?
Our vision is always to be able to grow and expand, but we have to do it the right way. We want to be able
Yes.
to do it in a very pragmatic and methodical and thoughtful way. And so if that looks as though we're going to build multiple schools in multiple different regions of South Africa, or does it mean that if we're going to focus specifically on Port Elizabeth and the Tausa region currently, then we're going to be doing that. Whatever is best for the people, we're going to be able to accomplish. We don't want to stretch ourselves out too thin. There are so many different types of needs. And if we sit here and say we're going to solve every single problem, we would be dishonest with the people. And so for us, you know, I've been in this space for over 12 years now. And I'm very, you know, I've spent time in Africa in those 12 years and dedicated a lot of my time in the NGO sector to the continent of Africa. And what I've learned is that there's a lot for me to learn still, right?
Still,
and we're
yes,
we're continuously learning. We're continuously listening. And I get this question a lot, Keith, and I don't blame you for it at all. But the best answer that I can give to you is we want to be as best as we possibly can for the people of Port Elizabeth and Motherwell specifically first, right?
Okay.
Create that system and then replicate that system and scale it up. Because if we scale it now, it would be a disservice to the people.
Okay. Which is very practical in thinking. All right, Yusuf, thank you very much for your time. You probably have a busy day ahead of you. I'm not sure what the time is around that side. So, but yeah, we're heading towards the end of our show. So thank you very much. Keep doing what you're doing. We'll be checking you out closely. So we'll be checking back with you for follow-ups and all that.
I hope so, and I hope we can have you all join us at a visit at the school site itself.
We'd love it. We'd love that.
Absolutely.
We'd love that.
Anytime.
All right.
Anytime.
Thank you very
I appreciate
much.
you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank
Yusuf
you.
Nassari from Built with Bitcoin is with us. It is now time for us to get back into some music, and then we have the parental feature going on in the show right now. This is Moon Rocket. The track is called Don't Do It.